سيدنا محمد الفاتح خاتمه لما سبق الناس بالحق بالحق والهادي إلى صراطك المستقيم وعلى آله وصحبه الله عليه. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا متقبلا خالصا لوجهك الكريم. صلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. If it's possible, if you don't need anything to lean on, if you can come closer, I just like it better when people are closer. That's okay. Thank you for indulging me. Alhamdulillah. So, first off, Jazakumullah khair for Meem Foundation for the honor of having your invitation. May Allah increase, bless you. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the gathering that we're having in the month of Ramadan, and we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the iman that's in our hearts. One person said a long time ago something that I haven't really forgotten. I'm a convert, but it still it applies very much, because this person said that it's very easy to be born Muslim, but it's difficult to die Muslim. And even though I'm a convert, I fall in the second category. So may Allah give us tawfiq. Iman is something that if Allah puts it in your heart to do something, I mean, if you stop and think about Iman for a second, if you stop and think about what you're doing for a moment, it's pretty marvelous. You know, today, for example, we didn't by Allah's grace, we didn't eat anything. We didn't drink anything. And things that we normally take pleasure in, we didn't take pleasure in them. And things that we normally do, we curbed them for something that we can't see. None of us have ever seen paradise. I mean, not with these eyes. None of us has ever walked in paradise, not with these feet. And none of us has any kind of real proof of the fact that there is a life of the hereafter, or a life that came before this world. But Allah has placed something in our hearts, and it's a faith and it's a belief in something that's bigger and greater than the world that we're in. How much time do we have? Until 9?
9? 9:15.
I wanted to just kind of, I was thinking about this a little bit, about how we don't really have any proof. And so let's just, I want to talk about we don't have any proof really for the hereafter. So let's just kind of take that on for a minute. And let's take I was coming here, for example, and I saw these Hindu temples along the way in Southall. And I looked at them and I thought to myself, subhanAllah, that was the way that a mosque used to look to me, is the way that temple looks to me now. Something completely irrelevant to me. I'm American, I grew up in America playing, American football, or whatever, like this. I don't know anything about those Muslims. Those Muslimics, I don't know anything about that. So, at any rate, let's just take the life of that person for a second, and let's put ourselves in that person's shoes. And let's just say, for the sake of having an interesting conversation before we break our fast, that there is no hereafter. Let's just say that. Take that for granted, that there's no hereafter. And let's just say that all we have is the stuff that's in this world. Right? All we know for sure is that there's a microphone stand. And all we know for sure is that there's two men on a funny couch, right? Just wearing funny clothes. Let's just take that for granted. That's all that there is. And that airplane that's going above us now is real, and that's all that we know. Let's just take that and leave it at that. That this world is all that we know. Well, once you start to think about that, take for granted that this is all that we know, then you come up with a question. Isn't it true that if I want something, if I have something, for example, I'm never really satisfied with it? If I get a car, for example, especially when you're younger, you start thinking about what you can do with that car. When you have a house, when you're older, you start thinking about what you can do to that house, how you can put on an addition, how you can expand it. When you have some money, you think about how you can have more money. And most importantly, when you're having a good time, enjoying something, enjoying anything, you want that to last forever and ever. So when you eat a piece of cake, not to mess up your fasting, but you probably go for something more hearty than cake. But let's say, when you break your fast, inshallah, in less than half an hour, but who's counting? When you do that, when you taste that food, the feeling you get when you break your fast, especially if you've been very hungry, like if you're doing a lot of manual labor in that day and it's hot, the feeling you have in breaking that fast is so good that you wish you could hold on to it for forever. Isn't it true? That feeling. Or if you had a long, long day, especially getting older like me, and you lay down on the bed and you stretch your body out, it feels so good. It's better than the whole day. And you say, right? If you had that feeling, that emotion, if you could hold on to it for the duration of your existence, you would actually do that because it feels nice. Everything that feels good to us, everything that we like, we want to hold on to it forever. This is human nature, regardless of whether or not you're Muslim, or whether you're Hindu, or whether you're Sikh, or whether you're atheist, or whatever you are. This is just human nature. We good things we want to hold on to forever. In other words, we want permanence with these things. Now, the problem is, I said, let's take for granted that all we have is this world. That was the beginning of our experiment right now. Let's take for granted that all we have is this world, and there's no hereafter. Just don't worry about that. Every person that's in this world would have to say to themselves at some point, where does this idea about permanence come from? Where does this foreverness, why is it that I get so upset when I don't get to have what I want for forever? And why am I striving after forever when in this world you don't see forever? Where do you see permanence in this world? Where do you see forever in this world? In other words, if all we know is this world, then where are we getting this idea about permanence and forever from? Where? And you can't tell me there's not, in the jungles of the Amazon, people are thinking about permanence. And in the little cottages on top of the Swiss Alps, the people who live there are thinking about permanence. It has nothing to do with religion, it has to do with faith. Well, actually it does, but nothing to do with anything anyone's been taught. My question is, this permanence that everyone's looking for, if it's not in this world, if it doesn't come from this world, in other words, permanence, for example, doesn't live in Hounslow. Forever doesn't live in Hounslow. There's no postcode for permanence's house in Hounslow. If it's nowhere to be found in this world, then why are we so in love with permanence? Why are we so in love with forever when we've never seen it? So I've asked many people this question, and it comes down to, it seems to be only two possibilities. Either human beings are crazy, we're all born majaneen, like we're all just insane, or we know about permanence, and we know about foreverness, but we were introduced to it before we came into this world. In other words, I saw forever in the face. I looked at permanence in the face, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I recognized him. He said, قَالَ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا بَلَى. He asked, am I not your Lord? And we all said, indeed. And here we are in this world, knowing very well that we've seen permanence before. And here we are chasing after it in this world, in every temporary thing. So, because of this consciousness that we have, which is above and beyond physical and material things, the reason why you and I have something which is above and beyond physical things is because you and I are above and actually beyond the material. For example, where is the mind located? Oh, this is your field, isn't it? Where is the mind located? For example, let's talk about. For example, we all know we have bodies. Like, this is material. We can all agree upon this. But is this all that I am? If this is all that I am, then how is it that I'm able to think about some? In other words, if this is all that I am, then where do I get these immaterial thoughts to contemplate what I actually am? Does that make sense? If all I am is a physical body, then where do these immaterial, these non-physical concepts come from to be able for me to say I have a body? Well, they have to come from this thing called a mind. But the problem is I don't know where my mind is. I lost my mind. No, really, where is the mind located? Is it in your elbow? Well, someone will say your mind is in your head. I say, fine, if you open up someone's head, show me where the mind is located. The truth is, we don't even know where the mind is. It's immaterial. Isn't it funny that people use an immaterial thing, like the mind, to say there is no immaterial reality? Isn't that a funny paradox? You're going to use your mind, which you cannot measure, it has no weight, it's not physical, to tell me that the non-physical world is not real. If that's a paradox, if that's not a paradox, I don't know what is. alhamdulillah, the human being is composed of at least 3 different aspects. We have the body, we have the mind, and we have the soul. The body is for Islam. The body is for Islam. You physically pray, you physically fast. The mind is for Iman, what you put your belief into, or what has become to be called nowadays creed. And then you have the hal, the states, the situation of your soul, which is, if you read these qasa'id, if you look at them translated, they're very beautiful. And one of them, the one that we read last, is talking about, one of the lines in particular is talking about the hal of an individual's soul. So we have Islam, and you have Iman, and you have Ihsan. And to pull it all together, we have Siyam. We have Siyam. As Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Asta'id billah, Kutiba alaykum as-siyam, kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum, la'allakum tattaqoon. Fasting was prescribed upon you, as it was those who came before you, so that you would be God conscious. لعلكم تتقون كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. كتب عليكم الصيام. So now, as I said, the human being, I want to focus on 2 different parts. The mind is something else. This is we'll leave the mind with the shaykh. But we have the body and the soul. And even, to be honest with you, in terms of antique Muslim tradition and contemporary Muslim tradition, it's very interesting that the mind and the soul are considered to be the same thing. But that's another subject. The human being is a very amazing creature because you and I are a bridge between 2 opposing worlds. You and I are a bridge between 2 opposing worlds. So for example, there's the world of the unseen, and there's the world of the seen. The world of the unseen consists of thoughts that go, for example, that happen in someone's mind. The world of the unseen, for example, consists of this ruh. That's like, where is the soul, for example. This aspect of our person is so important to us. As a matter of fact, this is actually what we actually are. Because on the Day of Judgment, Allah will ask us about the state of our hearts, the state of our souls. That's, in other words, about ourselves. But this individual that you and I are a bridge, an isthmus, if you want to use that word, between 2 different opposing worlds, two seas that seem to not be able to cross each other, but yet we are in the middle of all of that. How is that? My body is immersed in the material realm. That's material, and my soul is part of the immaterial realm. The soul, my soul is a part of the immaterial realm. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam. Fasting was prescribed on you. And we look at how the prescription is there for us to help us realize a very high purpose behind human existence. The reason why it is that we don't take food in. The reason why we don't ingest. The reason why we don't partake in the joys of life as we did before is because the body and the soul are actually opposing one another. The body and the soul are in a state of opposition for most people. They're in a state of opposition. The soul wants to gain dominance over this package. And the body wants to gain dominance over this package. It's kind of like a battlefield. When I eat all the time, and when I drink all the time, when I engage in the pleasures of this world all the time, the physical pleasures of this world, it causes the strength of my soul to not to deplete, but to be compromised. And actually to deplete, because if I commit sins in doing so, the strength of my soul lessens and lessens and lessens. So an individual that would stay away from food, stay away from drink, and staying away from the pleasures of this world, what they're doing, and then what do you do after that? Is that all that fasting is? Is it just don't eat, don't drink, don't enjoy what you used to enjoy? Is there more? And for example, now this is the engagement part. What are other things that we do in Ramadan that is recommended for us to do? That's the obligation, but what are we recommended to do? What else? Quran. What is the wisdom, the hikmah behind reading Quran in the month of Ramadan, other than the fact that it's the month that it was revealed in, it's the month where the Prophet ﷺ used to review, was revealed more times than he did his review any time of the year. What is the wisdom, the hikmah behind reading Quran, for example? What do you think?
Food for the soul.
Food for the soul. Cleansing. Now, when you say it's food for the soul, meaning that that just like a person eats hamburgers or biryani or whatever it is that we like to give us strength for our life, the soul also eats food. The soul eats. But what does the soul eat? The soul eats the dhikr of Allah. That sounds kind of crazy, not that I put it that way. But the soul, it gains nourishment from the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And why is that? It's because the soul is from the hadra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's from that hadra, it's from that presence. And it actually, the soul lives off of ibadah. The soul lives, in other words, the soul lives off of praising God. That's how the soul lives. The soul actually lives by saying, by articulating Alhamdulillah, 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 Alhamdulillah. That's why this Quran, it brings to us what gives us life. Again, it gives us life, meaning I am my soul, actually. And my soul gets life from the praise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hand of Allah, it actually recharges me. Like, you know, your battery goes dead when your bars are very, very low, and you're scrambling around looking for, like, because you don't want your... the same way, the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala charges the soul up. Now, throughout the year it does that, but in the month of Ramadan, because your material body, your material self is being stifled, your intake is being stifled, now you're giving your soul a chance to have, to have an upper hand over it. It's like this war of attrition, right? So right now the soul is winning, inshallah. Our soul is winning because the body is being handicapped from being able to take anything in. But there's more to this. The meaning of Sawm, if you look in the books of fiqh, you'll find that it means imsak. Imsak. Imsak means to refrain. Abstention. So the body, your body is abstaining from material intake, because at the end of the day you're eating food and you're eating drink, all these things. There's material as well as immaterial joys. Your body is abstaining. There's imsak. But that's the first level of the sa'im. That's the first level of the one who fasts. At the higher levels of fasting, comes this. You see the application of it, the deeper meanings of fasting itself, and you see that in the kalima la ilaha illallah. What does it mean? La ilaha illallah. What's it mean? That there is no God but God. But what does it mean? The first part is probably the most significant part of it, la ilaha. What is it? It's nothing but imsak. Abstention. It's negation. It's negation, but it's also abstention. You're negating that anyone can, who is the one who sends the rain from the clouds? Who's the one who causes the grass to come up? Who's the one who causes the sun to shine? Who's the one who causes the wind to blow? Who's the one who causes me to have hair on my head that will grow to my feet, but the hair on my eyebrows, inshallah, will not grow that long? Who does this? And whose plan is this? And to the point where you understand that even the nature of existence itself, that existence itself, what existence actually is, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wujud itself, existence itself belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that in reality, la wujuda illallah. In reality, Allah is the only real existence. The person whose soul is mustaghraq fi hadratillah, the individual, or wants to be, the soul who is drowned in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or wants to be drowned, is aiming for it. How do you get drowned in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala other than being undrowned from the presence of other than Him? The soul is a funny thing. The soul is a drowned victim. The soul is a drowned victim. The soul loves being drowned. The soul is like this. The soul loves to fall in love. The soul loves to fall into the presence of what. That's what it was made for. It was, for example, it was mustaghraq fi hadratillah. It was drowned in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before coming to this world. It's the nature of the soul. Whenever it loves something, it completely gives itself to it. It falls in. If the soul, if the heart at this point now, looks towards things into this world and finds pleasure and finds joy, or that permanence that we talked about, what happens to the heart at that time? What will it do? It won't just take a little bit. It won't just like a little bit. It becomes completely mustaghraq. It drowns in this world. This is the nature of the soul. The soul is a drowning victim. I mean, so, you can't even call it that. I mean, what do you call it? What do you call something that wants to be drowned? The soul is such, it loves to fall. It loves to be immersed. It loves to be taken over. And that's why we love love so much. We don't love love because of what it, we don't love love because of something that's outside of ourselves. We love love because of what it does to us, which is, it makes us drown. This we like this. The problem with the soul is that when it gets into this world, it gets confused. Before coming into this world, the soul is called ruh. When it comes into the world, when the relationship between the ruh and the jism, the soul and the body, it's called qalb. That's the heart. And that heart, nonetheless, it loves to fall. It loves to be drowned. But the problem is when it comes into this world and it starts to fall in love, it becomes in love with things. Kullu ma siwa Allah. It starts to fall in love with things that aren't Allah. This is our problem. For example, the food that we eat, we love that food, but if we don't be careful and we say Alhamdulillah, thank Allah for it, we might think that the food is the thing that causes us to be in a state of joy. But as you know, food cannot make you happy, because sometimes you taste food that's just plain bad. Sometimes you eat some food and then if you wait too long to eat that same plate of food, after a while, that same plate of food will be putrid to you. The food cannot give you joy, but it's Allah who gives you joy, when Allah wants to give you joy. So, imsak, then, the refrain is not something that you do in Ramadan per se, but it's something that you do as a believer, as one who knows the reality and the power and the hadrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah is. And Allah is the one who can, Allah is the one who does. Allah is, and He's the one who does, and He's the one that will do, and He's the one who chooses not, and He's the one who chooses. And everything in this universe is pointing towards His presence and His being. That a person who knows that, they don't want anything but Allah. That's the imsak. The truth is that Ramadan is all year round for the one who knows the truth. The imsak, the refrain. You see it in the beginning of the story of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. You see the beginning. You see the angels coming to him. They're going to throw him into the fire. What does he say? He said, "If you came on your own accord, I'm fine." He's refraining. His imsak, his abstention was so intense. Even angels, he's like, "I don't need you. I just need the one that made you and I." Sa'im. Now, what's the relationship between abstention and imsak and tawheed? La ilaha illallah. La nafi'. There's no benefactor. Illallah. Wa la darr. Illallah. And there is no harm or harmer but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no good but with Allah. There is no help but with Allah. There is no life but with Allah. No existence even but with Allah. No pleasure but it comes from Allah. No pain but that it comes from Allah. It's the no, it's the abstention, the la, that imsak, that refrain, that doing without, is something that the person who's in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or striving for Allah's presence. So what we're getting in Ramadan is nothing but a boot camp. Ramadan is to say to you and I, hey, listen, put the donut down. Right? Put the biryani down. Put the donut down. Put the samosa down. Put the pizza down. Put the soda pop down, or Coke, or whatever you call it in the UK. Put that down. I am here. I am showing myself to you. Refrain from those things. Abstain from those things. And say my name. So this is the Quran being read. And this is the dhikr being made. And this is our attempt to stay away from sin. Because at the end of the day, doing without an imsak, and abstention and refrain is the nature, it's the very nature of our relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in the daytime when we're fasting and we're kind of going through our day and we're thinking about food, we're thinking about water, we're thinking about difficulty, has it ever occurred to us that those things which has it occurred to us that those things which we would like to be able to take part in, has it occurred once to us? Have we realized once that that thing cannot help me? That thing cannot benefit me? Or rather is it that while we're fasting, all we can think about... This is the funny part about Ramadan. I don't think that we as a community think about creation more than in the month of Ramadan. Because what are we thinking about? You know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about that date you give me. I'm thinking about that water. I'm thinking about that milk. I'm thinking about that plate of meat. All day long we're making the dhikr of what? Ashya. All day long we're making the dhikr of things. So there's some people when they fast, they get nothing but what? Tired. They get nothing but what? Hunger. Right. This is the reason why. That food cannot benefit me, and that food cannot harm me. But Allah is the one who can benefit me, and Allah is the one who, if He wants to, may Allah save us. He can harm me. And I'll give you an example. So, this microphone that I have in my hand, what is its job? Its job is to project my voice. How? How does the microphone project my voice? How does it happen? How is it possible? Does anyone here a technician or an engineer, electrician, or anyone have any skill whatsoever related to this microphone? This microphone, I'm asking you, does it have the ability to project my voice by itself?
No.
Or is the ability placed in the microphone? If I was going to give you another example, which would probably be better. A cup of water. And now I'm hitting you, I'm beating you with food. A cup of water. A cup of water. If I had a nice cold cup of water, it's just right to quench thirst, with ice in it, and like the sweat that happens outside the glass. Yeah. Just imagine it's all. Look at it. Look at it. That cup of water. Does the water that's in the cup, does it have the benefit? Can it quench my thirst by itself, or is it Allah who puts the thirst? Who puts the thirst quenching inside of the cup? Which one is it? When Allah told the fire to be cold for Abraham, is it just the fire that was like that? How in the world can fire become cold? It's because Allah wants it to. That cup of water, which you know the one I'm talking about. Remember that one? It's cold, and there's just right to quench thirst, and it glistens in the light. Right. That cup of water. Does that cup of water? Does it have the capacity? In other words, is it water? Does it quench thirst? Does it do what it do? In and of itself, or does Allah put that inside the cup? Right? No, it's Allah who puts it inside the cup. So the truth is that, right? And we've made this example many times. The truth is that being the case, when I'm thirsty, I've been fasting all day, and I want something to quench my thirst. When I reach for that cup, in reality, in sort of in a metaphysical sense, I'm reaching for God, because He's the only one that can quench my thirst. But where am I? Where is my presence? So I drink the cup. This is why when you drink water, what do you say? Alhamdulillah. You're not praising the food, man. You're praising the one who puts the foodiness in the food. Now, that's the case when it comes to water. What about when it comes to the microphone? Does the microphone have microphone-ness by itself, or does God put projection of voice-ness? Voice projection, is that something inherent to the microphone, or does God put that inside the microphone? Or even the camera that's filming, does the ability to record an image, is that because of the camera or because of something Allah puts into the camera? Right? So in other words, it's like if I want my voice to be projected, and I choose to use the microphone, which is Allah's sunnah, when I'm looking towards the microphone, I start speaking, it's like I'm saying, Ya Allah. It's like I'm saying, Ya Allah, make my voice project. Right? Ya Allah, make my image be recorded. Ya Allah, make the ground hold me. Ya Allah, make the dhikr beads take my fingers. Ya Allah. In other words, there's nothing but my calling on God all day long, because these things cannot do anything. And I'm definitely using this microphone to help my voice project. But this can, la nasra illallah. There is no help but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Is this true or false? True. It's true. And is this the case because of Ramadan? No.
No.
Is this the case because I'm a Muslim? No. Or is this simply reality? So fasting then, كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامِ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Imsak has been prescribed upon you, as it was and those people who said La ilaha illallah before you. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. What do you think the taqwa is that we're talking about? The ultimate taqwa. There's taqwa, of course, of like sharia, which everyone is obliged to do. And there's taqwa of tariqah or iman, which some people inshallah do. Yeah. And then there's people who reach a higher level, which is actual and true taqwa. And what do you think that is? True and actual taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God consciousness, is that you're in a space where you're seeing Allah's presence before everything else. That water, you saw it there. This microphone, you see it there. And this camera, you see it there. But what about yourself? Do you see it in yourself?
No.
When I use my eyes and I'm looking, for example, if I want to look over at the brother, may Allah bless you. If I look over at you do I realize that my eye is a tool? And do I realize that the vision that is in my eye, that the only way I can see with my eye is if Allah gives permission? So when I look over here, it's like I'm saying, Ya Allah. When I want to express something and use my voice to articulate letters and all these different things that are language that's coming out from this muscle inside my face and these cords that are inside my neck, right? People, they trip out on the, sorry, I use too much slang. People, they're astonished. People trip out. People are astonished that on the Day of Judgment the limbs will talk. They say, how can the limbs talk? How do your limbs talk today? It's by Allah's command. Do I realize that I am nothing but a vessel of Allah's, presence? Do I realize that? مَا رَمَيْتَ إِذْ رَمَيْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ رَمَى. He told the Prophet, you did not throw when you threw, but it was Allah who threw. Meaning Allah is the one who causes the throwing to happen? Is this because of Ramadan? Or because we're sitting here, or we're thinking about it? Or is this reality? لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. That you will be God conscious. Be conscious of God, meaning you're not conscious of anything else. In reality, true God consciousness is that you're not conscious of anything else. Because there's nothing else to be conscious of. La ilaha illallah. And that way, that life, living that life and being in that presence, which is what Ramadan is for. Ramadan is to put us in the Muhammadan life. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What do you think? You think the Prophet, peace be upon him, you think he needed to fast Ramadan to get his act together? Do you think he needed to fast the month of Ramadan because he was slipping? No, but rather what the Ramadan shows us what the inner state of the Prophet, peace be upon him, was. The state of imsak, the state of taqwa, the state of doing without kullu ma siwa Allahi azza wa jalla, the state of doing without everything that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah to give us tawfiq. We ask Allah to give us tawfiq. Tomorrow when we're breaking our fast now, we ask. Don't forget to make dua when you're breaking your fast, because inshallah the dua is accepted. So don't forget. And ask for important things, like don't ask for a new pair of shoes unless you really, really need them. Ask for something important. On top of that, tomorrow while we're fasting, start to think about more and appreciate more how close Allah is to us. He said he's closer to us than our own jugular vein. But what does that even mean? That we may be God conscious. May Allah give us that type of consciousness.